Hola mi gente latina, how's everyone today? So I started off this video in Spanish because this one is especially for our audience in Latin America, and today we want to discuss how you can get a Tier A passport in a little over 2 years and at the same time pay zero to very, very low tax. So if that interests you, stay tuned. Hello everyone, my name is Javier Correa. I'm a Research and Development Associate here at Nomad Capitalist, where we help 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurs, investors, and freelancers go where they're treated best. And we cater to basically everyone around the world. Obviously, our YouTube channel is in English, but if you are in Latin America, Mexico, Venezuela, Colombia, Argentina, if you're in any place in Latin America, feel free to contact us and we'll be more than happy to also help you go where you're treated best. Same for Asians, and no worries, we're going to have special videos for you too, as well as continental Europeans. But anyway, so today is for Latin Americans. So many Latin Americans want to have access to a better passport. Many Latin Americans in particular want visa-free access to countries like the United States, like Canada, especially now that Canada recently announced that Mexicans have unfortunately lost visa-free access to Canada. Now, having access to those countries is more important than ever, whether it be for pleasure or for business. These countries offer tremendous opportunities. We would not advise you to become tax resident of these countries, but it is fair to say that there are good investment opportunities to be held there, and also that as a non-resident investor, you may find some interesting opportunities in both of these countries. So what are the best options out there for Latin Americans? So, I've worked with many Latin American clients throughout my years here at Nomad Capitalist, and many of them seem to always want to go very quickly for the Citizenship by Investment programs. They'll say, Javier, let's get a St. Lucia, let's get a Grenada. Some of them will even consider Malta if they're on the wealthier side. And they say, I'm willing to spend 1 million euros to become a European Union citizen so that my kids can go to school in the European Union, so I have easier access to Switzerland, which is not EU, contrary to the popular belief of many, but has a lot of special agreements with the European Union, and so I can get visa-free access to the United States and easier time banking in the US, for example. Now, they are often shocked when I tell them that Latin Americans can get a great Tier A passport, and at the same time, it requires a very low time commitment, and if things are planned well, the tax rate can be potentially close to zero, and there's no language requirement in most cases for Latin Americans. And when I tell them what this country is and what this special quote-unquote program is, they are absolutely shocked. And drum roll please, the country is the Kingdom of Spain. Yes, as you've heard it, the Kingdom of Spain, which is not what you think of when you think of low taxes or of particularly, nice opportunities in terms of investment and tax planning and obtaining a second passport. Now, we have a lot of videos here talking about Spain and different incentives. We recently talked about Shakira and her issues with the Spanish tax authority. So I understand that it may seem weird to you that I am now telling you that for Latin Americans in particular, Spain might present a very nice opportunity. And let me first address why it is a nice opportunity on the immigration side, and then I will address why it is a nice opportunity on the tax side. So first on the immigration side. Number one, you may think that I am associating Latin America to Spain due to its historical ties, and that obviously many Latin Americans can claim citizenship by descent in Spain, especially if you're from Mexico, Venezuela, Argentina, and all of these countries that have received massive amounts of Spanish immigrants in recent years. And while that is true, this video is addressed to those people who maybe don't have that Spanish parent or grandparent readily available to claim that Spanish citizenship by descent. So what am I talking about here? I'm talking about the special fast-track naturalization that applies to all citizens of what the Spanish denominate Ibero-America. So basically, anywhere from Mexico down to the Patagonia, you are considered an Ibero-American. If you relocate to Spain as a lawful resident, this is very important. We're talking about lawful immigration, lawful residence. It's not simply a question of going to Madrid and just overstaying your tourist visa. No, not at all. Or your tourist permit. It is a question of relocating to Spain legally, and we'll get there into a sec. How can you relocate to Spain legally? But provided that you do relocate there under a lawful resident status, you are able to request Spanish citizenship by virtue of naturalization within just 2 years. You heard it right, only 2 years. Under regular circumstances, Spain requires you to wait for 10 years, but as a citizen of a former Spanish colony of Ibero-America, you can do this in only 2 short years. And judging by how time is flying so quickly, I think 2 years is basically an excellent deal. On top of that, you will benefit from the fact that Spain does not have any official citizenship by investment program or citizenship by, extraordinary circumstances like Malta does. So basically having a Spanish passport as a Mexican-born individual or a Venezuelan-born individual or a Colombian-born individual, nobody's going to suspect or to treat you differently because they consider that your passport has been, bought, so to speak. So that is a major benefit there. In addition to that, obviously, in the case of Ibero-Americans, again, Mexicans, Venezuelans, Colombians, Chileans, you already speak Spanish. Spanish is your native language. Therefore, you do not have to learn an additional language in order to obtain Spanish citizenship. On top of that, Spain, which normally has more restrictive policies regarding dual citizenship, allows free dual citizenship with Ibero-American countries, meaning that you can be Venezuelan and Spanish, you can be Colombian and Spanish, you can be Mexican and Spanish, and it's not at all a problem. Whereas if you wanted to acquire another citizenship, for example, in the case of a Spanish person that wants to acquire another one, or if you came from another country that is not Ibero-American, you would need to either renounce your former citizenship or request some kind of special permit that has to go through the Spanish courts, and you have to somehow prove that your intent is to keep both of them and you have a valid reason to keep both citizenships. And while not impossible, the Spanish authorities make it harder, although they have opened up in recent years, but it is still a harder process. Whereas with Ibero-America, it's as easy as just holding the 2 passports and you're good to go. No questions asked. Obviously, as a Spanish citizen, you're going to benefit of the full advantages of being in the EU. So if your kids want to study in Paris or you want to relocate to Ireland and benefit from the non-dom program or to Malta, you can definitely do that as an EU citizen. You're also going to have an easier time banking in places like Switzerland and in places like the United States with an EU passport. Now, what many of my clients would tell me immediately ending this segment of the conversation is, Javier, this sounds great, but then, what am I going to do for those 2 years? I'm going to have to pay insanely high amounts of taxes. They say, my cousin lives in Madrid or my little brother lives in Barcelona and they're paying tremendous amounts of tax. I mean, how can you even propose this to me in the context of a Nomad Capitalist call? And what I would tell them is you are often overlooking that Spain has a very interesting tax incentive that is officially called the Special Expatriate Tax Regime, but that is informally known as the Beckham Law. So the Beckham Law derives its informal name from soccer player David Beckham. It has been around since the early 2000s. And in a nutshell, it is basically a special incentive that turns Spain for a period of time into a quasi-territorial tax country. So I'm not going to go through all of the details of the Beckham Law in this video. This could be a video in of itself, but just globally speaking, if you live in Spain under the Beckham Law, benefit number 1, foreign dividends from any companies you own outside of Spain, tax-free. Interest you may earn from certificate deposits or bond portfolios outside of Spain, tax-free. Capital gains from shares and property located outside of Spain, you guessed it, tax-free. No controlled foreign corporation rules, meaning that you can have businesses outside of Spain and retain earnings in those businesses with no tax consequences in Spain whatsoever. You don't even have to file the same reporting requirements as full Spanish tax residents. So that is also something very positive. Now, you do have to deal with Spanish taxation on Spanish source income. So for example, similarly, dividends of Spanish companies, fully taxable in Spain. Interest earned from Spanish banks or from loans to Spanish companies or Spanish individuals, fully taxable in Spain. And obviously capital gains derived from the sale of assets within Spain, fully taxable once again. And there is one important exception to note, which is your salary income that you will earn is taxable in Spain regardless of whether the work is performed in Spain or outside of Spain. So again, there's a tremendous potential to have 0% tax on your investment income, provided that you keep your investment portfolios outside of Spain. And you only have to worry about taxation on your salary income and on investment income that is sourced within the Spanish territory. So when structured properly, if you live in Spain under the Beckham Law, this can result in extremely low taxation that can be in the very low single digits. You may ask, this sounds great. Now, how do I relocate to Spain legally? Well, there are a few ways. Number one, Spain still has a golden visa. Now, unfortunately, the government of Pedro Sanchez has announced that it has the intent to eliminate the real estate option. I know many people in Latin America, especially Venezuelans, are big investors, and Mexicans as well, big investors into the Spanish real estate market. And up until now, if you invest 500,000 euros into a Spanish property, you can get a Spanish golden visa and you can relocate to Spain. Now, this will likely disappear in the coming months. However, the bank deposit option, which involves simply putting 1 million euros in the bank, is still perfectly available, and the government has not declared any intention to make it go away. So if you go for the golden visa option, you do have to combine this with starting a local business in Spain. And the reason for this is that the Beckham Law regulations basically force you to relocate to Spain in order to apply for work reasons. Let me say that again. That means that if you relocate to Spain and you want to claim the Beckham Law, the relocation has to be motivated for work reasons. It means you have to be in Spain performing the directorship of a company, you have to work for a company, you have to be there for work-related purposes. You can't just go to Spain because, oh, Spain is beautiful and I want to live there. So you have to have that work relationship in order to claim the Beckham Law. So if you have a golden visa, which gives you like the permission to live there, and then you have a Spanish company and you relocate to Spain as the director of that company, then that can work. In fact, they have made it easier up until recently. In fact, up until 2023, people who applied for the Beckham Law could not own 25% or more of the companies that were sponsoring them for the Beckham Law. But now with the reforms, you can own 100% of your own Spanish business, which is great. And the 25% limit only applies to companies that are not active businesses, that are only like, investment companies or things of that nature. So much more flexible. That is option number one. Option number two, we can also go for a digital nomad visa. We're seeing a lot of interest for the digital nomad visa in recent months, for Spain in particular. And this is because the digital nomad visa provides a clear path to the Beckham Law. And in addition to that, the digital nomad visa makes it simpler to apply. So no need to put 1 million euros in the bank, or no need to buy 500,000 euros worth of real estate. You can simply show that you have an employment outside of Spain. You can show that you have health insurance, private obviously, to cover all your healthcare needs in Spain, and then you have enough to sustain yourself. At the time of filming this video, I believe the threshold is around 3,500 euros. It's around that amount. If you earn that from a foreign company, then you can relocate to Spain under the digital nomad visa, work your way towards citizenship, and benefit from the tax advantages of the Beckham Law. So there you have it, mis amigos de Latinoamérica, my friends in Latin America. There you go, an option to get a great Tier A passport with visa-free access to the US, Canada, UK, or anywhere you might want to go. Options for your family to study and live, play, and work in the European Union, and also the ability to live in Spain for up to 6 years under tax advantageous conditions. Now, do keep in mind that if by any chance any of you watching this video have been tax residents of Spain for the previous 5 years, unfortunately, you cannot apply for the Beckham Law. But if you were tax resident of Spain at one point, you left, and you wait 5 years, then you can go back and you can apply. And also, once you get your citizenship, you can still benefit from the Beckham Law. So having said all of this, I hope this video was to your liking. And if you want to learn more about the options that are available in Spain and available around Europe and around the world for tax optimization, and especially achieving that very nice combination of living in a headline high tax country with some kind of special tax regime that allows you to be different from anyone else, then be sure to visit our website, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram to let us help you go where you're treated best.